What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be reviewing the 2023 Collingwood season. Let's get into it. So, it's about time that I reviewed the 2023 season after we're sort of, still reeling from that grand final win, 16th flag, and it has just been a whirlwind 2 weeks. I don't have to repeat it every single video, but I feel like I need to, that, we're premiers and it's starting to sink in, and it's such an insane feeling. I don't really know many more words to sort of describe it, but first off, it's that feeling of euphoria when you win, and then it's a couple of days of sinking in and just basking in that glory, and now it's, living with it, that you're premiers, and you will tell, and I know I tell anybody that sort of talks to me about the football, I'm like, yeah, look, Pies are premiers, and do you know Pies are premiers? And I just love bragging about it. And I know there was a point where, on Twitter and stuff, Geelong supporters or Richmond supporters, when they were winning, and you'd be like, oh, that's so annoying. How could you be tweeting about it every day? And doesn't it get old? And let me tell you, it doesn't bloody get old until we win the next one next year, or, don't win another one for another 10 years or whatever. I will keep talking about this premiership until the season starts, or just to whoever would listen, because it is one that I will forever cherish and will forever remember, and I'm sure everybody feels the exact same way. But now let's look back at 2023, what happened at the end of 22, what we sort of expected for 2023, and where to go, or where we went from there. So in my season preview, or Collingwood season preview video, I said this.
My head and my heart are telling me that Collingwood is going to bite me on the ass. Collingwood are going to be premiers in 2023.
I hate to say it, but Swoopstradamus strikes again. I predicted a Collingwood premiership in 2023 because I had a very, very weird butterfly feeling in my stomach. It was going to be, I felt like at the start of the season, it was going to be one of those seasons that everybody would remember, and whether that be because Collingwood won the premiership, or whether it be because, of something else that happened, it was going to be a very exciting season. I could see it festering, I could see it building, and not just Collingwood, but the AFL community in whole had a lot of moments, a lot of defining moments, a lot of, moments to make this one of the most memorable seasons in my short-term history, or short-term memory, that I can really think of. This year had it all. It had Carlton and the Giants being 15th and 16th halfway through the year, and then surging into prelim finals, which is absolutely crazy. All Collingwood's close finishes, again, just proving that it wasn't luck what we were doing last year. The Ben Keays Adelaide goal that didn't get video reviewed and was called a point. The Giants losing by a point to us in the grand final, in the prelim, one of the best grand finals of the year. And, North winning their first couple of games under Alistair Clarkson, St Kilda's rise. It's been a crazy good year. And, I know a lot of teams or a lot of supporters are like, it's not a good year unless you win the grand final, or unless you win a final. But, your little milestones can be improvements. Hawthorn, even though they finished towards the bottom, they showed that they can match it with the best, beating us and beating a couple of other teams, and they're a really good young side. And, the only sort of team that you sort of go, what happened this year? West Coast, Kangaroos are probably the only two teams, but everyone else is sort of hitting their goals, hitting their targets. Adelaide were a score review away from playing finals. It's just a magnificent sort of season. But anyway, enough blabbering on about everyone else. Let's talk about Collingwood. So last season, 2022, we lose the prelim by a point. We go back to the drawing board, grab a couple of recruits, a couple of Moneyball recruits, if you will, and we go again in 2023. Second year under Craig McRae. In 2021, we finished 17th. 22, we lose the prelim by a point to Sydney. And 23, we start again. We start again on the Formula One grid, or the right on the bottom of the ladder, what Craig McRae says. And what better way to start it off than with round one against the reigning premiers at a packed MCG. I remember this game vividly, like very, very well, because obviously we were down for quite a while, and then we put on all of those goals towards the end of the game, and we come out and blitzed them. Reece McGuinness kicked a couple, Bobby Hill kicked a few, Tom Mitchell kicked his first in black and white, and I remember celebrating a lot, and not like a grand final celebration, but I remember celebrating a lot and talking a lot on Twitter as well, because that's where I do most of my talking. And we were written off by a lot of media pundits going into this season. A lot of people saying, I don't have them finishing top 8. I don't have them anywhere doing what they were doing last year. It was a fluke, all this, all that. But then we come out and beat the reigning premiers by 22 points to start our season. And, I remember tweeting specifically, they said we couldn't do it, and we did it because everyone had Geelong as favourites. And bang, Collingwood come out, smash them. The second week we get Port Adelaide. We smash Port Adelaide by 72 points or something like that. And you start going, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. Is this really happening? Did we just beat the reigning premiers and just beat a team that is poised for a flag by 70 points at the MCG? Could this be it? Could this be the year that it all happens? And that's when, I know it was only round 2, but that's when I started clicking and things started clicking. And then we play Richmond in the third game. And that was that was an insane game because that was so wet. We kept missing opportunities, never put Richmond away, sort of mounting a comeback. We ended up winning that. I go away to Bali and we lose to Brisbane that week. And that was the week where Brisbane sort of tore us apart. They made us play a game style that we don't play. They took our game style to us and ripped it apart. And then you go, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's go. We got the next week against St Kilda gather round. And after that sort of game, and that was the game where St Kilda sort of came back in the last few quarters. In the last quarter, kicked a few goals, and you're sort of shitting yourself, going, "What's happening?" We ended up winning another close game. Essendon Anzac Day is probably one of the games of the year, the home and away games of the year. Down to 3/4 time, Billy Frampton gets our first goal. Jack Giddevan, Nick Dacos kicks 2 in the last quarter, and we go on to win that game. Obviously reminiscent to what we did to Essendon last season as well. And then you start thinking, man, okay, this Collingwood come from behind thing, this Collingwood close win thing that everyone's saying is a fluke, isn't a fluke. It can't be a fluke because look at what we're doing. Look at what we've done so far. We're, 6 rounds in, and we're 5-1. And I think as well, in that preview video, I'm pretty sure I said this.
I have us going 4-1. I don't know who we're going to lose to. I think, honestly, that our first loss will come to the Brisbane Lions.
And I correctly predicted that Brisbane would be the only team that sort of gives us trouble. So again, Swoop Stradamus strikes again. And then if you look at, I won't go through all of the games, but then if you look at round 7 to 10, so we had Adelaide, Sydney, Giants, and then Carlton. Adelaide, we won by a point. That was Johnny Noble's goal. We defeated Sydney at the MCG for the first time in, I think it's 13 or 14 years. We played them at the MCG and we beat them. We smashed the Giants in that first game. We were sort of playing to their sort of level, and then bang, we come out and we smash them. And then it's always good beating Carlton. That's when we kind of pummeled Carlton into the ground. I think we put on 10 goals to half-time. Yeah, 10 goals to half-time to their 4. And then we sort of cruised through the rest of the game. Not really putting our foot to their throats, but sort of just cruised through to the rest of the game. And we won there. Went on to beat North Melbourne. Not just beat North Melbourne, but North Melbourne was sort of mounting some sort of comeback against us. Beat them there. West Coast, we smashed up in West Coast. And then we get our second defeat in round 13 to Melbourne by 4 points. And that was the game, that was the flu game, where I heard, from a couple of journos and people at the club, that COVID ran ragged through that club and that team. A lot of players were sick. I know there was, I think, 4 players not playing that game. I know Jordan De Goey didn't play because of the suspension. Jamie Elliott didn't play. A couple of others didn't play. And we only lost to Melbourne by 4 points. And that was probably the first time they'd beaten us in a few years as well, I think. And it was only by 4 points. So you kind of you hate that one, but you kind of have to cop that on the chin. And okay, there's a close loss, And then so that was a winning streak from rounds 5 to 13, which is a winning streak of 9 games. I think 8 games. I'm not really good at quick math. 8 or 9 games, which is incredible. So now we're 12 and we're 11-2 at the completion of round 13, and then you go into the bye. So then you get that bye. So we're 11-2 heading into the bye. We come back. Then we beat Adelaide by 2 points at again another close win at the MCG. Round 16, 17, 18, and then we'll talk about round 19 in a sec. We go on and absolutely smash Gold Coast. That's where Jamie Elliott kicks what should have been goal of the year. We beat the Western Bulldogs after they were sort of beating us all throughout. Nick Dacos turns on the Jets. We end up beating them at the marvellous Marvel Stadium. We go over, Fremantle come over here and we smash Fremantle in a game where Fremantle should have been wearing a clash jumper because that was bullshit. And then round 19, 1v2, Collingwood, Port Adelaide. The grand final preview, as people were putting it. Port Adelaide were coming off, if I remember correctly. No, that was after. So Port Adelaide were flying at this point, and so were we. And this was one of those games where you go, okay, the best of the best. Excuse me. This is going to be a finals preview. It's pouring in Adelaide from memory. This was a couple of days before my birthday, wasn't it? Yeah, July 22nd. So 2 days before my birthday. I was watching it in a pub with some friends. And we go over. Jamie Elliott kicks that amazing goal from the boundary. Players are getting into it. And I remember this game being one of the best games I've witnessed. Everybody left everything out on the field. Like, players were gassed by the end of this game. And we went on to win that game by 2 points. Another close finish and another close win. So then after that game, we lose 2 in a row for the first time in what feels like forever. So we're first on the table. We've been first since like round 7 or round 8 or something like that. So we've pretty much got a top 2 spot solidified by this point because... we've got a top 4 spot solidified by this point, and we don't know much about a top 2 spot just yet. Carlton and Hawthorn come up next, and we get smashed by both teams. The Carlton game, we lose by not even that much, 17 points or something like that. Well, but we do end up losing, and Carlton fans were up and about. This is when they were starting to beat a couple of teams. They had just beaten Port Adelaide a couple of weeks prior to that. So Port Adelaide were a little bit shaky. So Carlton beat us after that huge Port Adelaide game. Hawthorn beat us after, we sort of went into this game thinking, okay, they're 17th or 16th. And I remember talking to one Collingwood player, who I won't name, but I remember them saying, yeah, look, it should be an easy sort of win this one, and it's got to be nice to sort of sit back and win this one. And I think that's that coupled with we should just win, and all these sort of factors led to our demise in that game, and we lost 2 in a row for the first time in over a year under Craig McRae. And it wasn't alarm bells at all, but it was definitely a wake-up call. And I remember those 2 games because, we like I said, we pretty much had top 4 sewn up. Port Adelaide start losing games around us, and you go, okay, maybe top 2 is nearly sewn up as well, because Port Adelaide keep losing. But I remember reviewing those 2 games and copping a lot of backlash with things that I was saying. Backlash from Carlton supporters, no less. Because... And I didn't take any credit away from Carlton, didn't take any credit away from Hawthorn. They both won on their own merits, fair enough. But there were rumours sort of going around that because we had top 2/top 4 sewn up for a long time, definitely had qualified for the finals, we were doing a heavy training load during that sort of time. And, putting the kilometres into legs so we can start running out games further on in the season. And, it's sort of, I think, I can't remember who was saying it. Scott Pendlebury, I think, mentioned it. A couple of players, or a player in some sort of interview, said that, the training loads were sort of starting to get a little bit heavier to put kilometres into the legs and stuff. And you can kind of see after the big Port Adelaide game, we were just spent. Port Adelaide was spent because they were losing games too. So Carlton and Hawthorn, those losses came. They were good teams. and we caught those ones on the chin. But then we lose those 2 in a row. And then you start going, okay, shit, we need this top 2 spot sewn up. Who do we have next? Bang, we play Geelong in round 22. And now, I can't remember the last time we did the double against Geelong, but we beat them by 8 points this game. And then I'm pretty sure that game you go, top 2 is sewn up. One more win would be nice, but top 2 is pretty much sewn up. We've qualified. Take the foot off the gas a little bit. Don't get sort of injured. And then we come up against Brisbane Lions for the second time, and they smash us for the second time. They beat us by 24 points. But in that game, we don't have, from memory, Bobby Hill, Nick Dacos, because he got injured against Hawthorn, Jordan Ngoe, and Darcy Moore, right? So we lose 4 really good players. You take 4 players out of any team, and you're not going to win a lot of games. But then in the last game of the season, we go and go and play Essendon, and Essendon shit out 70-point win. 70-point win? Yeah, 70-point win against Essendon. And we finish the home and away season 18-5, which is incredible. Like, if you told me at the start of the season we were going to finish with 18 wins and 5 losses, I would have said, you're laughing. We finished minor premiers. Haven't been minor premiers since 2011. And it was just reward for effort. We had top 4 sewn up by pretty much, I want to say the bye round, maybe a couple of rounds after that. Top 4 was sewn up, and we started sewing top 2 up, especially when we beat Port Adelaide in round 19. So you could see why they were... I still think it was a little bit by design, and I guess it comes into fruition because we win the grand final, but a little bit by design where, heavier training loads, taking the foot off the gas a little bit, tweaking a little things, trying out a little things. Jeremy Howe kicking 3 goals against Carlton, putting him into the forward line, seeing if that works, putting him as a defensive forward against Harris Andrews, seeing if that works. So we could try and experiment a little bit more. Not so much rest players, but just try and experiment a little bit more. And then... minor premiers, bang, first up finals, we play Melbourne. And that's probably the team that I didn't want to play the most because I really do rate Melbourne. And being at the top and then playing a Melbourne team, just any team in Melbourne, the MCG isn't to your advantage. So we play Melbourne, we beat them by 7 points, of course. You go on, defeat the Giants by a point, and then win the Premiership against the Lions, who we had lost to twice previously. And when we lost to the Lions, I was thinking, no. When we were playing the Lions, I thought, oh my God, here we go. This is Geelong of 2011. Geelong of 2011, where the only team that we lost to them 3 times, twice during the home and away season, and once in the grand final. And I thought, this can't be it, right? It wasn't foreshadowed. Is this what's really happening? But obviously, we go on and beat them in another close game. All of our finals were really close games, and that all up, they were decided by 12 points or something. 7, 8, 19, 11. Yeah, 12 points, 2 goals, all 3 finals up, which is incredible. And like I said at the start of the video, a 16th premiership. It's so good. It's so bloody good, and I will forever savor it. So on review of this season, it's hard not to give us an A+, right? Obviously, you win the Premiership, you get an automatic A+, but it's not like we won the Premiership from 7th or 6th on the table. We finished minor Premier, so the home and away season was A+, grand final was A++, if anything. A lot of things worked for us. Nick Dacos pushing into the inside mid, nearly won at Brownlow. Our recruits, which I'll do a separate video for as well, grading them, they really helped as well. And there wasn't a lot of things that didn't work for us. Yes, those sort of Carlton and Hawthorn losses were a little bit demoralising, but in the long run, they don't really matter. But I don't think we really stepped a foot wrong this season besides back-to-back losses. You don't want to lose back-to-back, especially when you're vying for a minor premiership. And, losing to Carlton is just shit, just in general. And then losing to Hawthorn, who are, was 16th at the time of playing them, back-to-back, you don't want to do that. So that was a little bit demoralising. But other than that, this was a pretty perfect season in my very, very honest opinion. There were a lot of highlights in the season, besides the grand final, those qualifying wins. there was a lot of highlights. John Noble's winning goal against Adelaide, Isaac Quaynor's dominance, the 4 All-Australians who made it in. A lot of individuals that just got better. Craig McRae and his coaching staff got better as well. They really, really improved this season as well. Just with the way that they were playing, they knew more of what they were doing last season. And the players would say this, every single week, we were still learning. And even though we're still learning, we're still getting better day by day, like Craig McRae says. We had a bit more structure to our plan. We practiced those last 2 minutes, those last minute, that last 30 seconds sort of stuff. And it comes to fruition, like I keep saying, whenever we play these close games, and it's evidenced by a 16th premiership. Like we said in our video yesterday with Justin, this premiership really stamps what our great 2 years it's been. You know, like Justin said, no one really remembers games from 2010, games from 2011, besides, you know, the premiership and the grand final in 2011. You don't remember home and away seasons, seasonal games. I can safely say that 2022, 2023, I remember more than maybe a dozen games, like of just moments in games. And I'll never forget that. And this really will go down in the history books as one of, if not the best Collingwood season ever. Like, I know we still lost 5 games. We didn't have an invincible season, but this was one of the best Collingwood seasons that I've witnessed. The most fun I've had watching the Pies, and we go on to win a 16th flag, which is absolutely incredible. But anyway, guys, I've stopped rambling on about this season review. Lots of other videos coming out throughout the week, so be sure to, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.